Hi, and welcome to the last part of the Waffle structure tutorial. So here we're going to work on laying out our cut files. So I have my where we left off was sort of notching and annotating. So let's take a sort of closer look at that. Why don't we turn on sort of both of our cut layers here. So we have our Z's and our Y's, and I have these named so we can sort of begin to let's sort of move these together in a more cohesive way. And sort of group them correctly. So here I have my groupings. So I have my these are my Y's, my A's, my 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to also make sure that, depending on the complexity of these, we should make sure that our cuts are labeled. So I have one text type and a profile, which is saying the number of the piece itself. So 1Z, right? And then we also need to map sort of where these profiles go. So in this case, it's going to be 1A and 1B. So let's create a text here that does this. Let's do text. We're going to say, change this to a smaller, we're going to say 0.125. And we're going to say a new style. We're going to say these are sort of second Alright, so I'm going to say this is going to be 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. So why don't we select, let's lock our lasers. Let's select these, unselect. And then if we copy these over, they should go sort of perfectly across. So make sure you're sort of getting them in there right. Now, depending on the shape, so I have a uniform shape going through. If you don't have a uniform shape going through, like what we're seeing here is there's a deformation, then you need to sort of edit accordingly. So you might have to just spend a little more time sort of mapping these out so they make sense. So just unselect that one, and let's do this across. Okay. And I'm doing this again over here, so I'm copying. I'm going to lock that direction. Okay. So there is definitely a way to be a little more systematic here. You can start to use different points. You can also use an idea of a center point. Okay. And I'm just trying to get these, relatively close. So I can go back in and sort of make sure that each of these points, or each of these annotations, is legible. The ultimate goal here is to make sure that I know how to assemble these pieces. And the more complex your form is, the more necessary it is to have clear annotations in order to show or to aid your model building. So okay. So now that we have these set, let's go up and make sure that we have our Z ribs annotated into our Ys. So we're going to use the same idea. So we're going to say 1Z here, 1Z, let's see. So we should say copy. Okay, text 2Z, 3Z, 4Z, 5Z. I might have a duplicate somewhere. I do have a duplicate somewhere. Okay. So here in properties, I can go over to text, and that should be 7Z. 8Z, 9Z, 10Z, and 11. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then text again here, so 10 and 11. Okay, so again, I'm differentiating between size. So the bigger size indicates the piece itself. The smaller size indicates the notch to receive a piece. So why don't we just sort of copy these over. So now that they're over, now I just need to sort of make sure that they're all in the right spot and legible spaces. And they're not falling off my form, but they're going to be on top of my form. Okay. So some of these are going to be okay. Some of these forms look like they vary in good ways. They all have about the same thickness. They should all be about 1 inch. So scoot this over. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So this is looking good. So what's nice about this is this also tells me an orientation. So again, when I assemble these, it's going to be really important to be able to keep track of sort of this where everything is or how to assemble my piece. So as I'm working here, I'm also realizing that luckily it's not too complicated of pieces, but that orientation matters, direction matters, the side that you score on, right, is also an indication of orientation. So as you're putting these together, having annotations help you keep track of which side is up, and as much less where pieces go. So sort of a construction methodology, being legible through your annotation, is an important skill to develop. So we're going to learn now how to sort of set these onto some sheets. So let's do that right now. Let's create a layer and call these sheets. And we could pop it out. We can turn our construction down. In fact, we could put these in the construction layer. That sounds good. All right, let's work that. So let's do our sheets, and we're going to make a rectangle, and it's going to be, if the size of my thing is 32 inches by 11, that's 1. So let's begin to lay these out. So let's see. So in fact it's 32 by 18 and 11 if I'm making this out of chipboard. Okay, and this corresponds to the size of the particular laser bed. Alright, so let's sort of grab these. I'll create a new layer, and we'll solve this cut, and a new one score. Move these down. Again, red, blue. Okay, let's unlock our lasers. So we'll select objects here, and we'll copy objects to layer. We'll select objects here. We'll copy objects to layer. We'll select our scores, and we're going to copy object to layer, and then we're going to select our z-scores, and we're going to copy object to layer. Now notice that I'm not changing their object layer. I don't want to destroy that work. So I'm simply copying them over onto these new layers. Okay, so now from here, I'm going to group, 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 okay, and the reason I'm grouping these is as I can sort of move them and lay them out on my sheets in a way to sort of maximize my material efficiency. Okay. So why don't we put this here. So it's fine if they touch, but you don't want to have them overlap. Oh. Okay, so see, I guess I messed this up. Let's do this again. So I'm glad that I didn't destroy it. Okay, let's just look at the reds. Okay, so I want to select objects, select objects. I'm going to copy objects to those layers. Okay, now I'm going to turn those off, turn my scores on. So select objects, select objects, and copy objects to layer. Okay. Now I can turn these off. Alright. So now I can group this and I can move it. So I can group and I can move. Group and I can move. So group and move. Group and move. Group and move. And so again, what I'm looking for here is just to sort of get these as close as I can together. Group and move. Okay. So I can probably now pack these in pretty tight. Let's see if I can. So the good thing is, because my annotations are working, I can get these together sort of pretty good. So if I move these around, I just want to make sure that nothing's overlapping. Remember, I can touch, I just can't overlap. Okay, so that's okay for the first pass. Now let's see if we can get some of these on there. So we're going to group and we're going to move. So because these all have straight edges, I can get these pretty tight. So I'm going to rotate this to group and move. And I'm going to rotate it, and these can share an edge. Alright. But they just can't overlap with anything else. Group and move. Let's see. So I'll see how tight I can get these to pack. So again, group and move. Let's grab it by okay. Group and move. And I'm capturing them and I'm rotating them. Okay. And let's see if I can do it again. So group and move. So maybe I can get these to fit. Let's just sort of okay, so those work. And so here I could do the same sort of thing. Let's just make sure that these are grouped. All right. And just lastly, to sort of put these together to save sort of material space. Let's see. Okay. Okay. All right, you could probably get these a little tighter, but that's a start. Thank you very much.